let's go ahead and take a look at some repaint work. Now, this time it is going to be on the Haunt figure from McFarlane's Spawn line. Now, I have already reviewed this figure. I did talk about how I was really interested in the character, but this is the first time we ever received him in plastic form. Not surprisingly, once I did the repaint and I got him looking the way I wanted him, a really fun figure. Actually did like a lot, a lot of little photos and stuff like that. I really respect figure photographers because that by far is what took me the longest, is to get all the like little setups of the different images that I wanted to represent. So that was rather interesting, but it's done. A lot of cool stuff I did. Really becoming one of my favorite figures. I'm glad that I have actually another one coming in, and I still might get one more. I'll let you guys know why, but let's go ahead and take a look at him. Now, starting off, the main thing was that he was really shiny. The paint on him made him look, gave him like a plastic look, which I do not like. I like more like a matte finish, like a soft color. And so I went ahead and repainted him with matte paints, and he looks really, really good now. That glossiness is gone from him, and he just looks more like a resin statue or like a maquette statue, and I just really love it. It looks awesome. One of the main things I also did was I removed those ectoplasm, strands that he had on his wrists and on his ankles. I just wanted a more clean figure. The reason being that a lot of the comic images, like, he's just clean like a regular superhero costume. Now, don't get me wrong, there is tons of images where he has, a lot of ectoplasm strands coming off of him, and that also looks really awesome, but I just wanted one version to be like a clean superhero suit, costume. But I'm really happy with it. Now, when I took off those ectoplasm strands, you do not want to just pull them out because they leave little pit holes like where they were connected. And what I decided to do was pull it and slice it at the same time, so the plastic actually stayed inside the little crevices. And then I hit it with a lighter just to soften it, and then smashed it down, and then repainted it. That way you cannot see it. It's pretty clean. Even on the ankles, you don't really see anything. It's as if those, little tendrils were never connected. So that's the main thing that I wanted to do, and it's because of images like this, where he's just looks like a regular superhero costume, and you want him to kind of look like that in figure form. So that's where I did this little picture that I liked, or little setup. Now you can pick up the whole matte thing throughout the suit. I did the chest emblem again in more of a white color because actually you couldn't really even see the bottom where it's supposed to be colored in. And so I hit that to bring out the spiral symbol of Haunt a little bit more. So it actually pops out now instead of just being blended in there. This took a lot of matte black, matte white, and matte gray, and just mixing them all together. Really tedious paintwork to get them to match, just brush strokes lightly. That way it won't completely cover it, but it'll leave like a transition part where it goes from the black to the gray to the white. So all of that was a little bit tedious, but really happy with it. Now I did do in the shoulder joints where it has the bushings. Well, when I took them all apart, I actually dremeled out inside the shoulder, and that actually gives me more play so that the bushing isn't so tight, so it moves a little bit more freely. Now, besides giving you a little bit more range, where I painted it like a darker color at the bottom and a grayer color on top, it won't, rub off because it's not really touching as much as it should. So it just, lets the paint sit there, and you still get your full range of motion. So now it doesn't look all white you know, the way it looked before. Now it has like a lower part of black and then it goes gray as it goes to the top, and it really lets it like blend in better. So, you know, so it doesn't look as unappealing as it did before. Let's take a look at the head, because I also did the head. Now remember how I said that he had a lot of cheek showing, and in the comics it's more of just the lower jaw. So I had to mix paints and start coloring in, giving them like lines here on each side. Now it looks great. It looks awesome like this. I really like it. I mean, that's part of the fact why I was saying that he's like really fun now. Like I'm having a fun time posing him and stuff. But you could even go more, because he actually has like a little line coming down this way towards the front of his jaw. And I bet you anything you could color that in and it would just leave just like the front part of his chin. And it would probably look, you know, even better. But this is fine. It does look good where I painted it in a little bit more, just so those cheeks aren't really sticking out. It looks more comic accurate. Now I did mod the neck, because remember, he could not look up at all. Like his head hit right away. So I made a notch and now he can look up really well. So that worked out nicely, giving him a little bit more range and options for posing. Pretty good. Now I did also hit the head with paint. I added some black to the streaks because everything was real light, like you could barely see it. So just to define it a little bit more, I gave it some black streaks and then a little bit of black like at the bottom of the cheekbones, just to like frame it. And then I even did the teeth, because my teeth were kind of like lopsided, so I straightened those out. I just did a bunch of stuff to make it look really good. I added some white to like the middle part to make it look more like a skull, so that worked out well. And then I did do the eyes. And now I did the eyes in the pearl, the metallic pearl paint that I've been using, because it gives it like a shine, like an inner shine. And that's usually how it looks in the comics. So I did that, and actually I widened his eye a little bit more because they were a little bit like beady and small. So I opened them up a little bit more. And then to finish it off, I actually added a little bit of brushing of like metallic blue, just to give it that, you know, inner energy coming from the inside, the haunting look that sometimes you see in the comics. And that really looks awesome. You could see it when he's, you know, in the light and stuff, you could see the little light blue around the eyes. All in all, like I said, I love this figure now. He's pretty much one of my favorite figures. You know, while I know I say that a lot, after I do the repaints, I'm like, you know, all in love with the figure. But this one, I really love him. I'm gonna end up buying 3 of these. Maybe even 4. I might even end up keeping one in package, you know, just for the archives. But yeah, really digging it. Moving down, I did mod the waist so that he could bend forward more. And then he leans back a little bit better now. So that really worked out well, giving him more, you know, twisting action, and we could get him in cooler shots for the poses. It just worked out really well. And then the matte look here at the lower body, just awesome. You get no shine like the paint from before. Now another thing I did is the hands were kind of like a light cream kind of color, and usually in the comics his hands end and his feet end and even his head end in like white. So it's like a transition from darker down into white. So I did his hands and his feet and even his alternate hands. I, you know, dusted them with like a brighter white matte paint to give him that cool look, you know, from dark color to light. Really looks nice. And like I said, even the feet, now I got it, you know, more comic accurate. And then if you look at them from the back, the same thing. The matte color just works really well. Just looks awesome. I'm just loving this figure. I've been playing with him for the last couple of days, and it's really fun. Awesome. Love that. Love the way his back looks. And then even here you could see those bushings how they're black at the bottom and then they get lighter as they go up. So it really helps to blend in like the shoulders and all that. Just looks really good. I can't say it enough how happy I am with it. Now let's get into some other things I did, because then I'll explain why I'm gonna probably want another one of these. But I don't want to jinx myself. But I did do the accessories. So like I said, I did the hands with a little bit of white, and then I did his tendril. Added some white because it was like really dull. And you can add this onto his arm. It looks really sick. And speaking of that, what I wanted to get into was the character is like way more than I expected, because if you look into the character, he's like a crazy mass murderer for justice. So it's pretty weird because he's like a bloody killer. Like he kills, like they have images of him full of blood, using blades like constructed from his necroplasm, all full of blood. Killing people, like his ectoplasm coming out of their eyes and stuff. Just like horrific images. I also did his little, stand. I used that to do a little photo shoot, trying basically to replicate the resin statue pose. It was close, but that's not gonna be the same as a statue. But hey, he could really get into those deep poses now with the mod to the waist and all that. So pretty nice. But going back to the character, he uses guns a lot. He's like, they always show him like on top of a bunch of dead bodies. So I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really something that you don't really see a lot anymore. And it's really, to me, it's really cool. I did do a blade for him. You can put it in his hand. But this will get me into the reason I wanted another one of these is because, what I would love to do is like redo it the same way, even better now that I've done one. Now I'll have more experience, but I'd really love to do a bloody version, because there's images of where he's all full of blood splatter and stuff, and I'd really like to do one of these, but a bloody version. Now the reason I say I don't want to jinx myself is because I don't want McFarlane to come out with a bloody version and then I did all that work for nothing. But it's really tempting. You can get the blade in his hand and in a pose, but it would look really awesome with blood splatter on him. Well, to me anyways, my preference. But yeah, really happy with it. I did have a lot of fun taking different pictures with him. I did one representing different covers just to have some fun. And there was one I really liked where he had like a bunch of armor, like body armor, like a vest, and then he had all kinds of weapons, like he was just strapped to the teeth, and he had some female next to him. But I decided to do the same thing. I just put she spawn, just to let her represent a little bit, standing next to Haunt. But that was really fun. That was really interesting to get that little shot together. And then another one that shows like his dexterity is where he kind of looks a little bit like Spider-Man, like leaning on a building. So I wanted to get kind of that same feel on like a little rooftop diorama. And yeah, it looks good. I really had a lot of fun with it. Loving this figure. Looking forward to picking up a couple more of these. But you guys keep hunting out there. Keep collecting. Keep customizing. And I will see you on the next one.